Hello everybody, Blue Dooley. We're out in the garage. Monster truck things. Last weekend I fought with the truck to get the heater core changed. That's a giant pain in the ass. Today I took 3 hours to change the radiator in the wife's Jeep, but it's changed and refilled, so tomorrow I shall go to church and do some errands with it, and then at the end of the day tomorrow we can check to make sure it's not leaking and it's topped off. But now, monster truck things. We're going to change out 3D printed parts on the Kyosho USA 1, and maybe we'll see if we can do some donuts here in the garage. And then we're going to start taking apart the Wheelie King and building a new chassis for it. So the J Concepts Lloyd body will fit it better, and I'm kind of... This isn't really going to be like a rock crawler. It's going to be more of a solid axle kind of basher slash monster truck. I don't think I'm going to get adapters and run bigger tires than the stock Wheelie King tires or these RC four-wheel drive mudslingers. They actually work. The mudslingers work really well here in the terrain. At least on this truck, it actually works pretty good. So I think we're going to keep it. Just lengthen the wheelbase a little bit, and I think we're going to keep it a little low, and for articulation and stuff we'll do suspension droop, but we'll keep the chassis low and keep a lower center of gravity on it, just so we're going to put a little faster motor in it than a crawler motor, and it'll just kind of be a fun kind of basher slash maybe rock bouncer, light rock bouncer. We'll kind of see, but let's go ahead and get started on the USA 1 first. So again, this truck's never probably going to be as sturdy as it was from the factory, but I just want to get it so I can, drive it around at shows or maybe take it to events just for fun. Just kind of a fun old school truck. That somehow ended up being a flathead. Kind of decided running the screw all the way through the print would probably do it a little better than trying to thread it into the print. So it does need a little bit of a spacer. That's all right. There's that. We got this one. I'm gonna have to get some channel locks out on. We're gonna have to, we are gonna have to take the wheels off. So let me come back here in a minute. All right, so now you can see where I added quite a bit of material. Like I said, I took the tilt out, made them flat. I did make the mounting ears just a little bit taller. It's kind of hard to see. And then on the bottom, I added a chamfer to everything, added just a little more meat to these parts. And then the bottom's the same way. I'm not sure why I thought that was going to work, but also in the new pieces, put a small hole here in the bottom so I can run a tiny screw in through the bottom, and when I cut down my pins, I'm going to put a little notch in that pin, and this will kind of key into that, keep that pin from wiggling out or wiggling out. But this side was still using just a single capture or just a press fit ball. So we'll switch it out so it's like the other one, run the screws straight through the top, through this piece, and then get it all bolted back together. Well, I was gonna do some donuts in the garage, but I don't actually have a charged battery, so but the truck is back together. The battery I have had enough juice I could kind of drive it around just a little bit, but it was starting to glitch just because the voltage is so low. So USA 1 back together and functioning again. It is old, and I know most people aren't interested in vintage RC stuff, but man, it's just cool to have this truck running again. I'm gonna have to, I am gonna get a new body for it. I'm gonna throw that one away and get a new one, do a better job painting it. Of course, it's also dusty from the one running video we did do of the truck. So stay tuned to my channel, because I'll get a battery charged up and maybe do a little driving and throw up a short or something. So let's get over to the HPI and get started on it. So a point of contest that some people have in the hobby is the whole Phillips head or JIS screw versus the Allen wrench head screws. The HPI, this truck, and actually both Wheelie Kings, the Ventures switched to hex hardware or Allen keys. The Wheelie Kings are still Phillips head, and to me it runs a lot of JIS, which is basically the Japanese equivalent of a Phillips head. I've never had a problem stripping screws out. I know a lot of people have thrown a lot of fit about them and looked down on them, but you got the right bit, they're okay. I was talking while I was disassembling this, but the heater kicked on and I don't know, there's a bunch of wind noise, so I just decided to speed up the footage, do a little voiceover. The Wheelie King it's a fun platform. I mean, it's no stellar performer as a monster truck or as a rock crawler, but it's just a fun platform. It's also 1/12 scale. So the body that came with it initially was quite a bit smaller than either one of the other two bodies in this video. That's why the tires are so much smaller. So it is a smaller platform, but it's a fun platform and it's a durable platform. I have beat the snot out of this poor truck, and I've broken one axle shaft and the shocks all leak now. But as far as like plastics and things, I think I broke a hub, but that was about it. I mean, it's fallen almost more vertical feet than it's traveled in horizontal feet, so I really can't complain. It's a fun truck, and I have it. Might as well use the parts for another truck. Okay, we got the HPI mostly tore apart. We got at least one chassis rail free because we need these three to mount the transmission, and then these four are the link mounts. So the truck, the crawler, has metal links on the bottom and then a link up top. That's kind of hard to see. Bring this chair over here. All right. So the HPI Wheelie King, Crawler King has kind of an interesting setup because they put the servos in the chassis, not on the axles. So you have a bell crank here that actually runs up to the transmission. And I ran that for four-wheel steer. And for rear steer, it worked pretty good. The other thing I saw on some forums is move the shock outside of the shock mount, and that would get you a little more stability. Replaced front and rear with a metal one of these, upper link mount. But the The rear steer still has the plastic one. The front one I switched to a metal link. And apparently somewhere I lost a spring cap. But these shocks have seen better days. I think all of them are leaking. So the truck's going to get new shocks. And then I think instead of mounting the shocks where they're at here, I'm going to 3D print a piece that'll kind of bridge from the top of the hub over here. And that'll allow me to mount the shock farther out here. And if it takes a hard hit, all of the shock strength will be out here, so I don't have to worry about busting these knuckles. Very simple 3-gear transmission.
Let me out, I'm stuck in your pocket.
Metal spur gear is from RC 4-wheel drive. I bought that a long time ago. The CXT actually has all the metal gears in here. I left this one, I just put the metal spur gear on this one. This still has kind of a clicker slipper clutch in it. But the CXT actually has a drive shaft that connects here. That's why this gear is on this transmission. I have no complaints about the transmission or the drivability of the truck, so might have to maybe get some new drive shafts, I think. But so we also need to take the battery box off because we're going to use the battery box on the new chassis. And I think we're going to use this hex fly. So the transmission on each side, this ear and that ear, you can actually mount the drag link for the steering. And that just push pulls. And that's how the truck actually steers from the factory. I do not know if you can get any more of these metal pieces or not. I haven't looked. I don't even remember where I got them at. But since I want to keep the servos mounted on the chassis, not the axles, I might try to find another one of these. Okay, so the wheelbase on the Lloyd is 12.5. I set my axles at 12.5. Then I didn't drill these even because I cut this piece a little long. So the next piece I'll cut a little shorter. I'll just have to trim an end off here a little bit. But that's the bottom piece. I need to drill a hole for the transmission in the center here. And then do the same thing for the other side. We're building from the bottom up. So these two pieces will be built first. Then we'll have the upright that the transmission will actually probably determine the rail height on. And then we'll go from there. I already have my frame rail lengths completely cut. So we're gonna get the bottom here, then get the uprights, then we'll kind of weld everything together. So let me finish drilling these out and then we'll come back. So I got both my bottom pieces done. Transmission bolted to it, and all 4 bottom links bolted to that. So just checking my wheelbase here. And that still might be, like I said, I'm kind of going for tucking the tires up in here and having more down travel than up travel on the truck. Which, of course, the body's sitting a lot lower than it's going to be once it's together. So, actually really happy with the length. I got all the holes square with each other, so the links are all square, which is super nice. Get the body off here. And I had hoped that this one and this one were on the same plane, or the same in a row. But they're not. That one is back just a little bit from the center here. But despite actually increasing the wheelbase, the cross pieces here that you actually put the screws in and actually goes between the two links. It actually ended up being kind of even with the center of the U-joint, so I don't have to worry about the U-joint or the drive shafts hitting at all. So that's really nice. I got the shocks off, and I did actually flip it around, so that's the rear axle. But at this stage, well, I need to get the transmission mounted, and then the chassis rails will actually determine front and rear. So it's looking like probably gonna have the chassis rail sit kind of right on top of this one. Not 100% sure yet, so I'm gonna cut some thicker stuff so I can get both holes drilled in one time, and then I'll just have one thicker upright, and then I will come up with some rod or more flat stock. I might just flat stock that just to kind of beef it up, and then of course I got to figure out where my upper link mounts need to be. So let me figure out how tall this I want. I want those rails to sit off of this, and then we'll go from there. So with some finagling, that's about where the frame's gonna sit in the body. And then, like I said, we'll have a little more tail, and that's all right. The motor's gonna sit fairly high in the chassis, which is actually kind of the chassis' design, as it was meant to torque twist. So the battery in the back, that tall gear set with the motor up high, is meant to help pull that front end off the ground for doing wheelies. Hence the Wheelie King name. Which this thing's gonna be heavy enough. It should stay fairly planted, but kind of depends on how far back in the chassis I put the battery. Like I said, this isn't going to be crawler performance oriented. This is going to be monster truck, high horsepower, little bit of ridiculousness more than you know, super crawler performance. But so far we're getting pretty close to having one of these rails welded up. I just got to figure out, like I said, that final height on the chassis. For the piece that's going to run from the bottom up to the top, and then where this is going to weld to. So I'll get actually I'll use that other chassis piece, plastic piece, and we'll lay it out on that. And that'll give us a little better idea, so give me just a minute. So this is kind of the helpful part of having a original chassis to drill some holes off of. So all I need to do is cut a piece to go from here to here, and that'll be our height for the frame rail. And then I said battery box placement, we'll kind of wait until we have both pieces together, because I want to have the battery clear the spur gear, and then the motor will be towards the front, the receiver and the speed control will be on the front, the battery will be hanging off the back, so that'll sort of even it out. And then servos will be chassis mounted too. I'm not exactly 100% how I'm going to chassis mount them. Like I said, I might use that drag link piece. I still got the plastic one. Actually, I got two plastic ones. So, and they're on opposite sides of the transmission, so you can have four-wheel steer, but I don't have an extra metal one of those, and this part flexes, and that gives you a lot of bump steer. So we're still working on that a little bit, but yeah, I'll just get a piece cut here, and I got some wider stuff so I can do I can probably get both holes covered at the same time. That way I'm not trying to drill through the weld. So I got the bottom piece here welded up to this upright. I got one hole drilled, so now the transmission on this side is actually fully mounted in, except for where there needs to be another screw mount where the magnet is. There is a mark to so I know where they need to line up at. My cut isn't exactly square, so I'm gonna have to line that mark up, tack it, and then make sure all these pieces are square to each other. Then weld that out. It is getting kind of late, so let me get this part welded up, and then we'll kind of set the body on and balance everything to kind of show you where we're at. Chassis is not 100% level because, well, these two tubes are different diameters, but that's pretty much about where I want it sitting, and that still gives us a little over 3 inches of ground clearance right there at the center, which is fine. Again, these are 2 2s, and they are 6 inches, just about, a little under 6 inches, I think. So I'm gonna call it a night because it is after 9 o'clock. It is probably 9:20. So I'll get the other side to the same state, and then next weekend when we jump back on this project, we'll start doing there we go. We'll start doing some more work on the chassis. We'll get the battery box in. We'll probably get one of the front cross members in for the front steering. Like I said, I still kind of want to do a push-pull setup. So the servos will be up in the chassis. The body's going to, of course, sit up. So it'll be more about like that. I think that'll look all right. Like I said, I kind of want to keep it low, but not too low. The shocks are going to be way too long, so shocks I'll probably have to go to the hobby store and maybe try a few. But that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, I'll get some running video of this truck probably later this week. Of course, Thanksgiving, we get Thanksgiving off, and we also get Friday off. So be sure to stay tuned. I might throw a short up of that driving around, and next weekend we'll get back into this. So that'll do it for this video. Be sure to click like and subscribe because it helps the channel out, and it's free. We'll catch you in the next video.